I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you'd all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, it is really nice to see so many. I think this is the most people we've ever had at a council meeting, except maybe when they were talking about marijuana. So we're really happy you're here and hope you stay longer than 15 minutes. The first item on the agenda is the consent agenda. It's a listing of a group of items to be acted upon with a single motion and vote. It's designed to expedite the handling of limited routine matters by City Council. I will ask if a citizen or a council member wishes to have any specific item removed from the consent agenda, and at that time you may speak up. And the item will be removed prior to council's vote. Items on tonight's consent agenda include approval of the work session and regular meeting minutes of August the 14th, 2018, approval of expenditure vouchers for August the 28th, 2018, approval of a renewal 3.2% beer off-premises liquor license for Good to Go South on Broadway, approval of a renewal 3.2% beer off-premises liquor license for Good to Go on Main Street, and the approval of a renewal tavern liquor license for the Destination Grill. So at this time, is there anybody on council or in the audience that would like to see any one of those items removed from the consent agenda?
I have none. I don't have any either.
Okay, in that case, may I have a motion?
Honorable Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with the addition of $168,146.19.
Second.
Lucero.
Aye.
Carlson. Aye. Keel.
Aye.
Betts. Aye. Noyes.
Aye.
Levy.
Aye.
Sheik.
Aye. All right. At this point in this evening's program, we have a very special presentation to make. Unfortunately, the gentleman from Mountain Connect who was supposed to be here this evening to make the presentation had a family emergency, and he called at the last minute to say that he would not be able to be here. And so it is my honor and privilege to get to take Jeff's place and make the presentation in his stead. This summer at the Mountain Connect conference in June, Rick goes to that every year and has the opportunity to learn all things broadband and to share with them as well the things that we've been doing here in Cortez. And at that meeting, he was presented with, he was the recipient for the City of Cortez for the 2018 Community Project of the Year. And it's really quite a wonderful honor to be able to receive this award. It is certainly much deserved. I don't know how much all of you are aware, but Rick has been really, really instrumental in taking Cortez from a community that was like so many others when the internet came out to putting us in a position where when some state legislation was passed, we were already beyond that point, and so we became exempt and did not have to, later on when other communities were going through exemption from Senate Bill 152, we didn't have to do that because we were already exempt from it. We've been grandfathered in. And he has continued to work tirelessly on trying to figure out ways to provide the technology and the broadband service that the people in this community, I think, deserve and need to have in order to be able to really compete in a global economy. Rick's had a vision for a long time. He has not wavered from it. He continues to work on it, and we are continuing, as the City Council can attest, to move forward. We, at this point, for those of you that may be unaware, we have a broadband network or have fiber infrastructure that spans the entire exterior city limits. And broadband has been made available to many of the businesses in our community for a long time. And the next step is for us to look at the feasibility of providing what's called fiber to the home. We are in the process now of finalizing how much that's going to cost. And the next step, which you will be made aware of and hopefully will participate in the very near future, is participating in a survey so that we can find out whether the members of Cortez, citizens of this community, are, what their level of interest in having the city provide fiber to the home service to them is. And if we get a resounding, resounding support from that, then this will be something that we'll seriously considering moving forward on. It's happened because of what Rick has done and has continued to work on tirelessly over the years. And so obviously this is not a surprise to him tonight. He very carefully brought this home packaged so that it would make the ride safely back to Cortez, and it's been sitting in his office. I hope that you all will take an opportunity to come up and look at the award, or if for some reason you can't stay to do that this evening, maybe make an effort to get out to the service center. We'll have it here for a little while, I think, here in the reception area so that people can come in and have a look at it. But give Rick a call and visit with him about this pet project, and if broadband is something that you think is important, let him know that, so that we can move forward on this. So Rick, you want to come up?
Honorable Mayor and City Council, thank you very much, but I'd like to recognize this current City Council and all the previous ones. This started back in 2001, so all those City Councils have supported these projects, and without the support of Council, we wouldn't have near the network that we have today. And I'd also like to thank all the other departments that I've bugged to death to hook or crook to get something built, and particularly Public Works for their help with engineering. And I'd like to say thank you to the community. It's a big honor. And it's, just so you know, the Mountain Connect organization is promoting broadband throughout the Rocky Mountain region. And they give out 3 awards. Every year they recognize a community, they recognize a wireless internet provider, and then they recognize a service or a manufacturer. So it's quite an honor for the city of Cortez, population the size that we are, to be recognized by your peers is a very humbling and grateful feeling. Thank you very much.
Oops. Don't drop it.
Moving on, citizen participation. Some of you may have noticed when you came in this evening that we now have a clock to time citizen participation. One of the things that council decided upon a few meetings back was in order to keep our meetings running along smoothly and to give everybody a fair amount of time, that we probably needed to have some kind of way to time participation. Not that we want to cut people off, but in order to be able to give everybody an opportunity to speak before council. And so we decided that everybody would have a 4-minute opportunity to be able to come and address council. Who wanted to speak had to have the opportunity to speak before someone could come up and speak a second time, and that citizens on any given evening would be allowed twice to speak on a particular issue. So in order to help us with that, so that when citizens get up to speak, that they can see how much time they have, and to be sure that we as a council are being fair, we purchased a digital clock. You can't turn it that way, Mike, because I have to be able to see it. Well, they need to see it too, but they can see it, but I can't set the time if I can't see it.
Well, one thing we need to note, in the agenda, it says 3 minutes, but it's actually 4.
It's actually 4. It's actually 4 minutes. So, so we wanted to be sure that we weren't cutting people too short, while at the same time encouraging you to be succinct. So we get to try it for the first time this evening and see how it works. So this is the first opportunity during council meetings. There's always 2, one at the beginning of the meeting and one at the end, for any citizen that would like to step up to the podium. You need to state your name and your address, and you can speak on anything other than items that are on the agenda. If there's an item that's on the agenda, then we would like for you to speak at that point in the meeting. But if there's something else you'd like to talk about or that's on your mind, now is your chance. So who wants to be first?
Good evening, Mayor Sheik and City Council. My name is Sherry Noyes. I actually live in Pleasant View, but own property in the city of Cortez. And my time will be used to address the median project, which is probably going to be never ending. But in my opinion, I believe what you have built is an unsafe, inconvenient, ugly median of signs to date. I've counted 9 large signs, so that excludes the small crosswalk signs, 8 extra signs on both sides of the highway, the road, the street, and 8 reflector posts. Going east, it looks to be there's only 1 car turn lane into McDonald's, and hopefully no one behind them wants to turn on North Edith because they will be waiting. We are an ag town as much as we are a tourism town, and turning left out of Big R at the east exit was hard enough for a small vehicle, let alone a large vehicle or a trailer, a truck with a trailer. So with the west exit being the only left turn option, let's just say it will take a lot of time and patience to get back onto Main Street. I've tried to avoid going there during lunch because I can only imagine what the mess with the backed up traffic and along with the crosswalk, you know, double backed up traffic. I've heard, and this is just hearsay, so I don't know this for a fact. Haven't been able to contact the police department, but there have already been a few accidents there already. So I'm thinking probably this particular meeting is probably not as safe and is uglier than some of the places you give citations for around town. The median that is in progress looks like it is not being built to specs. We were told it'd be 1/3 turning lane, 1/3 median, 1/3 turning lane, and I've not measured it because you can clearly see that that's not what it is. I would like to know why that changed, why it's not 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. And I would also like to know if you are on budget, if you're over budget, if you're under budget so far to date. So in closing, with being like with the median project started and what you're seeing it fall into place, if you can sit there and truthfully tell me that you still think this is a really good idea, then I feel you probably shouldn't be sitting there at all if you still think this is a really grand idea, proceeding with all these medians. With that, I'd just like to thank you for your time and allowing me to express my opinions and how I feel.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, next. Is there anybody else that would like to speak at this time? Okay. In that case, we'll move on to public hearings. Resolution number 17, Series 2018, conditional use permit for establishment of a church at 2200 East Main. Neva.
Excuse me.
Okay. The city has received an application for a conditional use permit to establish a church at 2220 East Main. The owner and applicant, Tom Maley, proposes to renovate the existing buildings to house the Rock Springs Church. 2220 East Main, formerly known as the Old Walmart, is a 66,000 square foot building with a lot size of 5.17 acres. The property is zoned commercial highway. The Rock Springs Church intends to establish a location to hold worship services, to gather and fulfill other purposes and functions of the church. The church currently employs four full-time staff and 6 part-time staff members. The renovation of the interior of the building would include an auditorium for Sunday worship services, a smaller auditorium for youth gatherings, classrooms, a kitchen, a resource center, bookstore, and a coffee bar for church attendees. There will be space to hold various programs and classes that the church currently offers. The church is not proposing a K-12 school, and if they ever do, the church will need to apply for an entirely new conditional use permit. The church has proposed a phased development with the auditorium and children's ministry rooms in the first phase, and most of the other rooms and functions as funding provides. The church intends to use 46,000 square feet of the building, with the remaining 20,000 square feet available to lease out by the owner. There are no proposed uses for that lease space at this time, and staff has included a suggested condition in the resolution to ensure that the proposed leaseholders have approval by the Planning and Building Department to ensure the use is compatible and that the parking requirements for the use can be met. The proposed auditorium will hold a total of 819 seats. Parking regulations for the church use require 1 space per 4 auditorium seats, which equals 205 parking spaces for Sunday services. The remaining uses of the church will primarily occur outside of Sunday service hours. The existing parking lot has a total of 254 spaces. 42 of the spaces appear to be used by the adjacent businesses, with an additional 13 spaces used by First National Bank, though the banking hours and church hours are generally compatible with each other. A total of 212 spaces will be available to the church. So Section 6.10 of the Land Use Code states that 7 review criteria for conditional permits must be met. Condition 1 questions compatibility. This building has been vacant for many years, and under commercial zoning, the use of a church should be compatible with adjacent businesses. There's no exterior construction of the building proposed. Condition 2 primarily addresses traffic concerns. Staff has heard back from CDOT on this project, and the project will fall under the old Walmart permit, which the CDOT staff stated the church will have a less intensive use. So CDOT's not concerned with the church moving in. The applicant will also need to construct the required number of ADA parking spaces. There's 8 proposed, and will need to construct them to the city engineer's standards. Under condition 3, there are not any accessory uses proposed. For conditions 4 and 5, there are already existing services to this building. As this is an existing construction, there is not any landscaping required. Adequate maintenance of the building will be required to maintain a certificate of occupancy. And the parking lot must be striped before the CO can be issued, and I believe that's already been done. The proposed conditional use will operate under regular hours of operation, with the heaviest use concentrated on Sundays. The project was sent out for review to affected agencies and city departments. There were no comments of significance. P&Z recommended approval of this conditional use permit on August 7th, 2018. And staff has a recommended list of conditions to follow this permit with the attached resolution. And staff does recommend approval for this project.
All right, council, are there any questions, comments?
I don't have any. I have none.
No questions.
Would anybody representing Rock Springs like to say something to council at this point? No. Is Tom here tonight? Oh, there he is. I thought I'd seen you earlier and then I couldn't find you. Okay. All right. Well, in that case, I'm going to open it up to public hearing. If there's anybody that would like to speak for or against this conditional use permit, please come to the podium. All right, seeing nobody, public hearing closed. Any further comments? May I have a motion?
Honorable Mayor, I make a motion to approve a conditional use permit to establish a church at 2220 East Main Street, Commercial Highway C zoning district, as submitted by property owner Thomas Maley through Council Resolution Number 17, 2018, with the following conditions.
Second. Noyes?
Aye.
Keel?
Aye.
Betts?
Aye.
Levy?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Lucero?
Aye.
Cheek?
Aye. Congratulations. You're good to go.
They've been clapped, they just won't talk.
So are there plans to start tomorrow? Well, we hope everything goes smoothly for you and that you are soon able to get in there and have your first service. So congratulations. And it's going to be really nice to have somebody in that building for sure.
Absolutely.
Big difference.
All right.
What if they all leave church that quick?
All right, cool.
Don't if they all leave church that quick?
I don't know. I'm excited for them.
If Marston was here for just the religion, I'm going to be shouting.
No, he's not here for that.
What's he here for?
Sunday services, but
He's scary when he does that. I'm not just He's not doesn't come that often.
all right.
He used to intimidate the crap out of some of my secretaries. He'd come in and just,
Thank you.
they were just not necessarily.
Okay. Well, now that our numbers have thinned considerably,
We're just getting to the good stuff.
yeah. Too bad you're leaving so soon. We have no unfinished business, so we're going to move on to new business, the first of which is Resolution Number 18, Series 2018, which is an amended plat for property in Fairway Estates. Neva.
Okay. All right. The City of Cortez has received an application from owner Joan Lumen to adjust the lot line between her townhome and the common area of the golf course via's townhomes. And let me just get down to it for you. Wrong project. Okay.
This is Resolution 18.
All right, sorry for the delay. The applicant is proposing to add a 174 square foot addition to her home, which will encroach into the townhome common area. The 5 units, townhomes, in the golf course vias each have 1/5 ownership of the common area, which means all 5 townhome owners are required to sign the amended plat due to equal ownership in the common area. The deeds of each homeowner may need to be updated to include reference to the proposed plat after it's approved by City Council and recorded by the Montezuma County Recorder's Office. And that also, the change also may need to be reflected in their homeowners association agreement. It shouldn't be a big deal. The amended plat is just moving a lot line. It's not creating a separate lot. The underlying zoning district is single-family residential with a minimum lot size of 7,000 square feet. However, this development was originally approved and constructed under a planned unit development with its own requirements and setbacks, and this proposal appears to be in line with the previous approvals. This was sent out for review, and there were no significant comments by city staff. And staff does recommend approval of this project.
Joni, would you like to say something to council, or?
If you have any questions,
Okay. Council, any questions or comments?
I don't have any. I have none. No question.
Okay, in that case, may I have a motion, please?
I move to approve in resolution number 18, series 2018, with the 3 conditions approving the amended plat of unit 2617 of tract A2 Fairway Estates, and submitted by owner Jones Lumen.
Second.
Betts?
Aye.
Noyes?
Aye.
Lucero?
Aye.
Carlson? Aye. Levy?
Aye.
Keel?
Aye.
Cheek?
Aye. So you're good to go.
Thanks.
All right, now you can get started. Now the fun begins. Trust me, I know. All right, the next item in new business is advertisement of the draft 2018 Water Conservation Plan. Phil.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, good evening. We're here to kick off the public comment period for the 2018 revised conservation plan. It's a 60-day comment period where we have hard copies in the City Hall as well as the Service Center. We'll have it on our website for any interested parties to review and or comment. Written comments can be given to the city clerk during business hours, normal business hours, as well as out of the Service Center, or it can be emailed to an email address we have specifically for this project, conservationplan.2018@cityofcortez.com, and it will also be available on the city website, so if someone doesn't want to come to one of the business offices, they can. This is part of the what's promulgated by the Colorado Water Conservation Board as part of the process for revising our plan, getting approval, and then going for approval on the city level by written and read ordinance, and then it'll be submitted to the state for their review and approval. So we plan on starting this Friday. It'll be August 31st through October 31st, and then we can come for the first reading and the council meeting on November 13th, and then wrap it up at the end of that month, the last meeting of November, and then send it up to the state for their review in December. And staff does, of course, recommend that we go ahead and start this public comment period for the draft 2018 Water Conservation Plan.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments?
I'd just like to say if I'd be really interested to see the comments from the public. I'm hoping a lot of people comment on this one to see.
They actually have to be incorporated into the plan.
So.
All public questions and comments and responses will be a part of the plan itself.
No, that's good. Thank you.
So those of you that are still here, actually, we should have announced this before everybody left. tell your friends and neighbors to check this out. All right, council, may I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to advise the draft 2018 Water Conservation Plan for the required 60-day comment period.
Second.
I'll second.
Carlson?
Aye.
Levy?
Aye.
Noyes?
Aye.
Keel?
Aye.
Lucero?
Aye.
Betts?
Aye.
Cheek?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Phil. Dean, the appointment to the Parks, Recreation, and Forest Advisory Board of a student representative.
Yes, I'm excited to get a second high schooler on board hopefully tonight. The Parks and Recreation Forestry Advisory Board for the City of Cortez consists of 9 voting members, and all members shall be Montezuma County residents. Currently, 1 high school youth vacancy exists for the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Advisory Board. The city has received 1 letter of interest from Sawyer Dietrich. The Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Advisory Board members discussed Sawyer Dietrich serving on the advisory board at their Friday, August 17th, 2018 meeting, and have given their unanimous support for Sawyer Dietrich to serve 1-year term on the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Advisory Board. For this evening, the City Council may either choose to interview the candidate prior to its decision, or it could forego the interview and simply base its decision upon review of his letter of interest and the recommendation of the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Advisory Board. And you can see attached is his letter of interest. And I think just a little side note, I think Mike Levy and I did some initial screening. We happened to be at Moose and Moore where he works, and so it's kind of advantageous to talk to the young man. And he's really excited about the opportunity to serve in this capacity, and seems like a very bright young man that would be a great, I think, great fit for that advisory board. Do you have some other things to say, Mike?
Sawyer said he would be here tonight, but he has to work. So he would be, we didn't have that commitment, he would be here.
All right, if there are no questions.
I just got to say, if he took the interviews from you two, I guess it'd be okay.
I appreciate your trust, Orly, and sarcasm too.
I make a motion that we consider appointing Sawyer Dietrich as a student representative on the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry
I second that.
Board.
Levy?
Aye.
Keel?
Aye.
Carlson? Aye. Lucero?
Aye.
Betts?
Aye.
Noyes?
Aye.
Sheik?
Aye. Well, Helen, congratulations.
Thank you.
Bid for production for an historic preservation podcast. Peyton?
Good evening, Council. So back in March of 2018, the city was awarded a grant of $7,708 to produce a podcast. And with that production, the grant also paid for advertising and for some software formatting. And so a quote went out in May of this year, and the city only received one bid. So and that was for the two walking tours. So they changed the scope. The Historic Preservation Board got together and they changed the scope of work, and they put out a bid in mid-July. And with that change of work, they received several bids. And so the Historic Preservation Board, they reviewed the bids and they decided that KSJD was the best candidate for the project. And the reason being is that they're a local company, so that eliminates a lot of the extra travel costs. They're here in case we run into some mistake. If any piece of the podcast needs to be redone, they're local, which creates ease there. They also offer us marketing services, so we were able to eliminate a $1,000 formatting fee onto the website. They're going to host the podcast on their website, and that's unique to the KSJD bid. And so there are also going to be table tents, and those will be roughly $880. And when council takes in the cost or the amount for the KSJD bid of $7,500 and plus the table tents, which is the $880, then the board does have expenses that go over the granted amount, and they go over by $672. But the Historic Preservation Board does have a plan to apply for the Cortez Retail Enhancement Association CREA grant of $500, and they also have budgeted funds this year to help pay for that cost.
All right, Council, do you have any questions?
Will this podcast be in conjunction with I know there was talk in the past of the listening tour down through Canyon of the Ancients? Are we able to make that connection? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, whoever.
I'm Linda Toll. I'm Vice Chairman of the Historic Preservation Board. And you're referring, Ty, to several podcasts that have been prepared in the last year or so, some called Ancient Voices that were produced by Mesa Verde Museum Association in conjunction with KSJD. And the first one starts at the Welcome Center, briefly talks about the cultural center, and then heads on down McElmo. I think they're in the process of producing 5 more. They've already produced 3. So even though ours is just from the city of Cortez and will focus on Montezuma Avenue with its historic properties, clearly they will all tie together. And we will reference the cultural center as a starting point, so somebody who's listening to one podcast at the cultural center can easily walk or drive up Montezuma Avenue and, you know, further appreciate the history of Cortez. So they're tied in, but they're separate.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Anything else, Council? Thanks, Linda. All right, may I have a motion, please, Council?
I make a motion that we approve the bid from KSJD for the production of a historic preservation podcast in the amount of $7,500.
Second. Keel.
Aye.
Betts.
Aye.
Libby.
Aye.
Noyes.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Carlson. Aye. Sheik.
Aye. We have no draft resolutions or ordinances, no other items of business. At this time, is there anybody that would like to address the council? And if so, step up to the podium. All right. There is no city attorney's report. City Manager Doherty.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Okay. City Council committee reports. Has anybody been anywhere?
I missed the Golf Advisory Board. I had a meeting, and I was glad to see you here, Mr. Palmquist, because I was hoping you could. I know the Pinto Bean went well. One thing I would like to note, our overall yearly revenues, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, are up about $9,000 over last year. Good. And that's a testament, I think, largely to Mr. Palmquist, John Brooks, and getting the word out there around our community to make sure we're getting this outside play. So I think that had a lot to do with it. Pinto Bean, I hear, went outstanding. And like I said, I apologize for missing the meeting, but that's my Golf Advisory Board update.
Good job.
Information. So if you had anything to add.
I think one of the key things with the golf course that we are seeing a slight decline in our membership, and you know the cart fees are up a little bit, but I think the key is getting those daily green fees, and I think I want to just give a lot of credit to John Brooks, and his promotion of the course has been just key to keep that sustainable on. I mean, you as a city council and city manager have been very gracious on what you've given that course, and that comes with the trust that we can have enough revenues to offset for that course. And so I think that's the continuing trend to really try to bring in area and people that want a vacation here to that course.
Any others?
I don't have any.
The
fireworks were good.
Yes, the fireworks were good. You can see them from Dolores. Two, I and another member of the library board met with Eric, it's been a week and a half ago, I think, to just go over the proposals that had been submitted for coming in and analyzing the facilities. We had some really high-powered companies that submitted proposal, and the whole purpose of us getting together was to just kind of look over them a little bit and you know, provide Eric with just some of our ideas about narrowing the list down. And so I think he was going to try to get that done, and then we'll bring that to council so that we can vote to make a decision as to who we want to hire. But there were several that I think would do an outstanding job. So as a former librarian, I'm really anxious to have that move forward so that we can get started on that project. I think that'll be a nice, it's time for our library to be updated, so it'll be nice to get some ideas from folks that really know that kind of work in these kinds of facilities. So, If there are no other committee meetings,
See, I have one.
yes.
See, the Parks and Rec and Advisory Board meeting was held at Denny Lake last week, and we got a tour of the Denny Lake reconstruction area. They pulled out a bunch of the weeds that were constricting the lake and made a fishing area, and it's really a nice area. There's seating available, and people can throw out their fishing line and sit down on these stone pavers, and it's really a nice situation. And then we had a tour of the dog park, which is directly connected to Denny Lake, and we saw the gazebos and the bulletin boards and all the amenities they have, and there's quite a few people there and their dogs, and it's really a nice area. I'd never been there because my dog passed away a while ago, and so I hadn't had a reason to go there, but I'm really glad I did, because it's really a nice addition to the Denny Lake, and it's also connected to the KOA campground, so the people from the campground can use the dog park and the lake, and it really brings in a lot of good feelings for Cortez. And I commend Mark and all the folks, and Dean, for their work at the Denny Lake Park. And see, we talked about the South Community Park outreach, and it's really get a lot of positive feedback on that. It was well attended at the last meeting, and a lot of survey results had turned in. See, we're going to have another meeting on September 8th. It's going to be right at the site of the old high school area at 7th and Oak. And that'll be from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Can I correct on September 18th?
18th.
Yeah, September 18th.
Yeah, okay, September 18th. Okay, anything else, Dean?
Well, I just wanted to mention, I saw today that we're up over 325 online surveys, and we do have hard copies going out at the rec center and the library, and we're having some of those filled out as well. So I feel very pleased at this point of our outreach effort. We need to continue and still get out there, but I think we were getting a lot of participation from our community in this effort.
Great.
Okay, one more thing. At the Cultural Center Board meeting last week also, another long meeting. They have a lot of agendas on their items on their agenda. They received the contract for the Historic Structure Assessment Grant, and they're going to review it, and if it looks good, they'll send it back and sign it so it can be executed. On the plaza out by the Cultural Center, Austin Wagner completed work on the irrigation system to the tune of $791. The entire irrigation system had to be redone. It hadn't been working for years, and he did a really good job in making the area irrigated. And so the gallery update, Tiana and Lupita Arvizo's art opening reception will be on September 7th at 5 p.m. Their show is called Ozoni Kia. It's a mother-daughter photography exhibit. So I'm planning on going that too. Looks like something good to see. The gift shop sales were almost identical to July 2017. $8,330 this year compared to $8,336 last year, and they think that was really a good thing considering all the fires and smoke that has been in this area at that time. The membership drive is doing well. They received $7,498 in memberships and donations as a result of the mailing. The Tarnished Brass was a success. They had between 225 and 250 people attended, and gift shop sales at that time were $608.
Wow.
The Native American dances, they're doing well. They had 1,437 people in July. Two more items. The Volunteer Appreciation Breakfast is going to be September 12th at 8:30 at the gift shop. And the Slightly Off-Center gift, or the trip, is sold out. There's 8 people that are going, plus Holly and Becky. My wife and I are going to attend that one also. It's in northern New Mexico, and My wife's sister's flying in from California to go to that tour also. So, anyway, that's update on the Cultural Center.
Good, thanks. All right. Report from the workshop. We continued our discussion on the water conservation plan that Phil and Rich Landreth had presented to us previously, and that, of course, then was the plan that we had approved for public comment this evening. We also had a nice presentation from City Planner Tracy Hughes regarding the 3-mile plan and Master Street plan, and it was nice to have a heads up on that. And one last thing, in addition to the September the 18th County Commissioner debate at the County Courthouse, there will also be a debate of County Commissioner candidates on September the 6th at Dolores at 6 p.m.
Yeah,
So
I think it's at the community.
It's at the community center, so put it on your calendar and make a plan to participate in one of those. City Hall will be hosting a Meet the Candidates Night and debate at City Hall on October the 11th, and at that time, State Senate and House candidates, and State, Senate, and House candidates will be present. And then on the 13th of October, the Mangus Public Library will be hosting a forum where they'll be discussing Tabor and Gallagher amendments and how they're impacting budgeting. So is there anything else for the good of the city?
Everything's good.
Okay. Adjourned.